Gentlemen, great to have you both here. Maurits, I'm going to start with you if you don't mind. Good to have you here in studio.
Thanks for having me on the show today.
All right, so you've been working with him for just over a year. You're working together on a new ETF that you hope to file and launch, or you've already filed, but you hope to launch next year. We're going to get to the ETF in a minute. But just this time that you've been with him, can you describe his investment strategy, how he's looking at geopolitics, and how he's looking at the markets?
Scott's view on the world is that the outlook for the world is going to look differently than the world we came from historically. It's going to be characterized by greater volatility, and it's going to be more polarization. That needs to basically be reflected in how your portfolio is positioned for that world of tomorrow. Historically, people would rely on bonds as a diversifier. But today, the question is, can you still rely on bonds? Scott's view is you need a different portfolio approach for that world of tomorrow. That basically anticipates that volatility, that polarization, presents new risks. How do you manage those risks in your portfolio? That's what we're focusing on, the Key Square Alternatives ETF, which filed in August.
All right, so more volatility, a more divergent geopolitical picture, a more divergent economy.
Correct. More risks, basically like a new risk popping up, risks we haven't seen in a while, geopolitical risks, and risks that really have different, require different portfolio solutions to address and manage those risks. So at the heart of this is really a macro alternatives approach to investing.
All right, Chris, coming over to you. Obviously, people that have experience on Wall Street, that's nothing new when it comes to Treasury Secretary. We had, Henry Paulson. We also had Mnuchin during the first Trump administration. How do you think someone who's known as a hedge fund manager in particular, how will they fit into this role in your mind?
I think that Scott has a great worldview, which is he's played both in the domestic and international markets, which is amazing, and as an active participant, which is I think will be great. I think as President Trump has a very ambitious agenda on day one, where we're going to have to move very, very quickly as a country to re-regulate and embrace more fully a tax cut regime that will allow for greater growth in the domestic economy and the international economy. I think that Scott, is well positioned to be able to do so. And then is on currency trading and so much more. So I think that he's known in Wall Street, rather respected on Wall Street. I think would be great to be able to help manage through, which could be maybe some turbulent times ahead. Certainly, as we see economic challenges with China and other trading partners that are certainly going to be a real challenge for American consumers, American manufacturing.
So, Chris, you're mentioning trade right now. I want to play a soundbite for both of you to listen to. This is Bessent on tariff implementation. I want to get a reaction from both of you after this.
My view, and I don't have a say now yet, or maybe ever, but is that I would recommend that tariffs be layered in gradually, which would the price adjustment would be over a period of time. But I think if you take that price adjustment coupled with all the other disinflationary things President Trump is talking about, that we're going to be at or below the 2% inflation. Right.
Soundbite's still playing, but I think you both get the idea right there. Chris, I'm going to come back over to you. You kind of heard Bessent's take when it comes to tariffs. How do you see that playing out with a president that I think is fair to say can be mercurial and kind of change his mind on policy quite a bit?
Look, having served under him the first term, I know very well how he uses tariffs. They're a very incredibly great leverage for negotiations. He's used them really well in the first administration. I'm certain he'll use it again in this administration, and to discipline actions from our foreign trading partners, who oftentimes cheat and just candidly they just have over decades. It's a really great way to be able to level the playing field so that American consumers in the long run aren't hurt. I also remind the viewers that during the last term, it was much covered that the quote unquote trade war we had with China, where we had to raise tariffs to level the playing field on China. That we didn't see the massive inflationary spikes that many people predicted and are predicting today. And so I think and President Trump has always seen, at least when I was there, a kind of across the board, more globally look at the economy, whereas there'll be many things that are extremely disinflationary, re-regulations, tax cuts, energy policy that are really bringing down costs across the board. So even if there is a temporary blip in price spike because of some certain tariffs that would be put in place or taxes on goods and services coming to the country, they're offset by the other policies.
All right. Maurits, coming over to you. You have managed a number of ETFs outside the one that you're partnering with right now with Bessent. Can you tell me, how do you view his take on tariffs and the idea of how he wants to implement it? Certainly, it could have an impact on the weight loss ETF that you run, also the nearshoring ETF that you run.
Our view is that tariffs will go up. The question is by how much, and will they be used discriminately from a negotiation perspective? Either way, we think this will accelerate reshoring. We think that countries already reshored, reshoring is up materially this year. It's only going to accelerate, especially as companies don't want to take the risk on what tariffs they may face based on production coming into the country. So short term, we think this is going to accelerate the industrial manufacturing renaissance we're seeing in the US. On the healthcare side, tariffs are less of a concern. We're already starting to see reshoring. There could be other policy implications that could affect what's happening in the weight loss market.
I do want to also talk to you about the ETF that you are partnering with him on. Yeah. It's going to be a multi-asset ETF. So is it going to reflect his view of geopolitics? And then what happens if he is confirmed as the Treasury Secretary?
So I can't tell you what happens if he's confirmed as the Treasury Secretary. It was filed in August. It goes effective next month. What I can say, the ETF is really focusing on really 3 or 4 areas of Scott's expertise: currencies, commodities, fixed income, and with a small degree of equities. And really offering a portfolio that you cannot buy in the ETF market today, focusing on long-term investing, not short-term speculation, and really leveraging Scott and his team's 30-plus years of investing experience individually, collectively almost 100 years. This is really an approach to a portfolio that serves as a diversifier, serves to manage risk, and also serves to help your portfolio, not only in bull markets like today, but also in more difficult, challenging markets where historically Scott's done very well.
All right, very interesting. So how would this compare to some of the other popular ETFs? There's like levered ETFs out, there's factor ETFs, there's thematic ones. How would you say it compares to those?
So I think the ETF market today is long speculative, short-term speculative products. This is a ETF focused on long-term investing, which I think is very different from some of the speculative products we see in the ETF market today. This is something that you can use your portfolio with a longer-term perspective. This is managed by one of the most experienced investors in the world on macro side. So this is a very different kind of strategy than the kind of speculative mania that we're seeing in ETFs today.
So you're the advisor, Bessent's the sub-advisor, but he's going to make a lot of the investment decisions in general. So is that a take from him, you're saying, that this is very different than levered ETFs, or is that your view?
No, I think it's a view we share, that the ETF market doesn't need more speculative dopamine short term. What the ETF market, I think, could benefit from is more professionally managed long-term diversification strategies. That's what this is. So this is really trying to offer people more ways to build a balance in their portfolio that's not just focused on the upside, but also focused on managing downside risk.
All right. Chris, I'm going to give you the last word right here. We're seeing someone who could potentially be the next Treasury Secretary, known as a hedge fund manager, also worked under George Soros, who's more known for having a more geopolitical view that's a bit more global right now. What should we expect if he is confirmed within these first 100 days? We're hearing a lot of talk about President-elect Trump expecting to issue executive orders and make a lot of moves right away.
Yeah, I think the first 100 days will be addressing President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, making them permanent, doing a lot of re-regulations, looking at using Bitcoin. I think will be a lot of cryptocurrency regulations that will be put in place. We'll have to put all of the independent regulators in place and coordinate with them as well. And so there's just going to be an enormous amount of activity in the first 100 days, and kind of as what the president suggested, righting the ship and kind of balancing the equation. So the American worker, Americans in general, I feel better about the economy and actually start doing better.